With this workflow, you can allow AI to handle your customer support emails for you. It can answer questions by using a vector stored database that it will be able to pull its answers from. You can handle feedback and ask people for testimonials, and it'll even escalate tickets if the person on the other end says they want to speak to a human, allowing you to save precious time on your business by letting AI do the job that it's best at. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at how the bot actually works in practice. So let me come over to my email really quick. And I've got one set up here. I'm going to send another email to myself and another email account. Question about delivery is my subject. And hey, I ordered your product. And now I'm wondering how much longer until I get it. You know, customer support teams get questions like this all the time. They're vague. They don't really explain anything. And honestly, I don't think we even have to necessarily look into the customer's tracking for this. You might be able to give a general answer. If you want to incorporate tracking or the ability to actually do returns into this bot, it's as easy as setting it up in your Shopify or your WooCommerce or whatever platform that you're using. Just hook that up into the system to be able to process all of that. All right, so let's go ahead and send this. All right, we've sent it. Let's go ahead and while it's processing and sending it over to my other email, because it takes a few seconds, what's going to happen is this bot has kind of 3 sections to it. The first section is this beginning part here. It's going to get the email. It's going to determine whether this is a reply to an email thread. If not, it's going to determine whether this is a new or if this is a customer support ticket. If it's not a customer support ticket, then it's going to send a nice email back saying, hey, this is our customer support line. If you have a question, please ask. Otherwise, email us at this other email address. If it is a customer support question, then it'll come through this blue process down here. Replies to email threads come up here. But what it's going to do is it's going to determine what kind of customer support issue it is. It's going to see that it's a question. It's going to send it down one of the paths. It's going to write an answer by going into our Supabase database, where I've put in a whole bunch of test data on, customer support questions and issues and policies and that sort of thing. And then it's going to write an email to me. It's going to send me an email back. So let's come over here to my email. We got my question about delivery. Wonderful. That's exactly what we were hoping to see. And then if we come back here, let me refresh there. We'll see that we actually just got a tag up here. The bot will tag it so that we know that it has been answered already. In fact, we can even see the message that it sent. It says, thank you for your question. Shipping normally takes 2 to 3 weeks from the time the order is placed. If you'd like to check the status of your package, please locate the tracking number from your purchase receipt email and visit the shipping carrier's tracking page. That's exactly what I had in my Supabase database. That was the information I put in, so wonderful. It was able to answer that. And we'll come back to here and we see that I did get my email response back. Wonderful, and we got that. So if I responded, I would also be able to, okay, so let's see. I'll just on the fly here ask something else. Wonderful, thank you. What is your return policy? All right, so just a simple question. This one's asking about policies. So again, it's going to send this email back over to my bot. My bot is going to then process it up this purple path here. The purple path is more or less the same as the blue path. It just doesn't tag anything because it's already been tagged. And then it's going to answer the question, respond to the user. If it doesn't know the answer, it's actually going to escalate the ticket up to a human. Or if the user is asking to escalate the ticket, it'll do that automatically. It's able to handle feedback as well. So if for some reason I gave it a testimonial or if I was griping about something, the bot would be able to handle that. It has a sentiment analysis built in, and it'll even ask for testimonials if the comment that the user leaves is good enough. So let's go ahead and go back here. My bot sees, or my email sees that I got this response, and it should just take another moment for it to go ahead and respond one more time. Let's see here, and we got a response back. Wonderful. Thank you for your question. We offer a 30-day return window for most items. Products must be unused in their original packaging. Wonderful. So great little example of how you can use a bot to be able to handle your customer support emails as they come in. Simply load up all the questions and answers into a Supabase database and let AI handle the rest. As always, you can get today's workflow by going to our free Skool community, where we keep all of our past workflows, training videos, tools, and templates. You can also join hundreds of AI enthusiasts all looking to grow their businesses with AI-powered automations. And make sure to join us in our advanced community, where we have over 20 hours of additional AI and N8N training courses to help you learn how to ride this AI wave, as well as a group of committed AI-focused business owners, all looking to help each other grow and scale. All right, now let's dig into the bot and show you how it works actually here in all these nodes. All right, so what's actually going on here? So I have a Gmail trigger. You could hook this up to any other email that you have. If you have another type of support line, maybe it's a Telegram line or something like that. Whatever trigger you need to use, just understand that it will potentially change some of the stuff going on in the bot, specifically this if node that happens next. So if you're going to use Gmail, I suggest, very, very strongly suggest, that you set up an email account specifically for this bot to be able to receive these inquiries and to be able to answer out of, and then have a human, a manager, that has another email address that the bot's able to send emails to, all right? Let the bot handle all of the low-level tickets and escalate only the ones that matter most. So if we come into our Gmail trigger here, you simply have to connect your Gmail credentials. If you don't know how to do that, I will put a link in the description below on how to set up your Gmail credentials. And so what we do is we're just having a poll time of every minute. That's as fast as we're able to do it. We're going to do an event on message received, and it needs to have an unread label. And this is why I definitely recommend having the bot have its own Gmail account or email account entirely. The reason for it is if you're in there, if you have somebody in there and as soon as it gets an email and they're clicking it, the bot's not going to be able to run because on that poll time, it's going to check and it's not going to see that it has the unread label. All right. So let the bot have its own email account and it'll be able to process it just fine. So what'll happen is with Gmail, again, if you use a different provider, this might be a little different. Just please understand that. With Gmail here, we run through this if node, and what we're looking for is that the ID of the current message, the message that just came in, if it is not equal to this thread ID, so the ID of the entire email chain, if it is not equal to it, meaning it's not the top level email in the thread, it'll come up this top process, which will then do kind of a different process for replying to email chains. Now, it's all the same logic, it's all the same system prompts, but we give it a little bit more information using this AI agent right here. What it's going to do is it's going to pull all of the text out of the email. And this is an issue I saw for myself when I first set up an email manager bot. It's pulling all of the text out of the email. Well, that text includes all of the replies. So all of the messages in the chain that have happened so far is included in the text. In my bots, they were kind of jumbling up the text as one body. What this AI agent does is it uses this output parser down here, and it's going to parse out the current message, the top level message that's being asked right now, or the message that's being sent. And then it's going to give a past conversation history of everything that's been going on from the user and from the customer service team. And so here I'll actually just go and I'll remove this and just say customer service email, customer service email. You'll want to put in your customer service email account, that bot email we were just talking about. That way it understands what is user emails, what's the bot emails, and that's all in the past. The current message is just what's going on now. And then that allows this bot to better understand what's going on so it can answer the most recent questions, and it's going to be able to process everything better. All right. Now, I'm going to very, very briefly cover this reply section later after I cover the main kind of new message section. It's almost identical to what's down here, so there's not too much I have to explain when I get there. But let me just kind of follow the process, right? So again, this AI agent up here, what it's really doing, and I'll open this up so you can see the system prompt. And so what we see in here is that it's simply going to take that information, all the text from the email, and it's processing that text to figure out if this is a chain or not. Well, it should know it because the if node's sending it to it. So it has to pull apart the emails. And what it's looking for is it's going to be looking for your customer support email and the user's email. Because anytime a reply shows up in an email chain, it'll say sent by, and then the user's email, and then timestamp. And then it'll say, okay, down here, it's then going to be sent by the customer support email and a timestamp. So it's able to parse that out by understanding what your email account is. And I have one of mine in here. Let's remove that. All right. And it just figures out which is whose email. And then it's going to then put it into a nice little summary. It's going to send the current message and then the past conversation summary. All right. And it just says that, current message, past conversation summary, just like that. And so we give some constraints on what to do. We give a whole bunch of examples on how to parse apart this information. but really simple AI agent that's just going to send it up that top branch so that reply emails are handled differently. Now, if the if node determines that the thread ID, in this case, is equal to if the email ID is equal to the thread ID, all right, it goes down the bottom path. The bottom path, we start with a text classifier. The text classifier is getting the subject of the email as well as the full email body text. And its job here is to determine if this is a customer support related email. Is it customer related? Is it related to an inquiry, a support ticket, giving feedback, testimonials, reviews, an ongoing project? Is it something related to something you would expect to go into customer service or not? It's one of the two. All right, and so it's going to make those determinations. If it is a customer support ticket, it goes on. If not, it comes down to this red section down here. And in this red section, what it's doing is it's getting that text again. But what it's really going to do is it's going to draft an email simply saying, hey, this is our customer support line. This does not appear to be a customer support question. If you have a question, please let me know what it is. Otherwise, pass this on. All right, and so just like I said, it's going to handle general, ambiguous, irrelevant, or potentially spam emails sent to the customer service address. It's going to read them to confirm it does not appear to be a customer support question. It's going to draft a polite, professional, and clear reply. Inform them this is for customer support inquiries only. Invite them to submit a question. And if it's unrelated, to send it to, and then you have to fill in the email address that you want to actually send to otherwise, all right? It doesn't escalate, it doesn't answer anything, it doesn't do any of that. It's just gonna send an email saying, hey, if you have a question, please ask, otherwise move on. All right, and so we give it some understanding, some chain of thought on how to do all that. We give it its output format. It's going to output just a single self-contained HTML string, and so that it'll be a nice looking email when it sends, all right? Give it some examples of what it's going to do here. And then we attach this to a Gmail node that's set to operation of reply. We're going to be replying to the message ID, so the specific email that got sent to us. Email type is HTML, and our output, our message, is the output that the AI agent just generated. And what it's going to do, it's going to make a nice looking email saying this isn't where you should be asking this kind of question. And I have turned off the append N8N attribution. All right, if it is a customer support ticket, we then come through this blue section. And this blue section is going to handle all kinds of different issues. And I'm most likely going to start at the bottom and work my way up, but we have a text classifier node here that gives it, the subject and the text of the email again. And this one's job is to figure out what kind of customer support issue is this? Are they asking questions? Is this about an order or a payment issue that they might have? Are they giving feedback or a review or a testimonial? Or are they simply asking to escalate this up to somebody like, hey, I don't need a bot, give me a human. Well, okay, that kind of person's gonna be obstinate. They're not gonna deal with the bot anyway, might as well escalate it. And then we give it a system prompt here, a real nice, simple system prompt. I'll go ahead and open it up. That simply says, here are your categories, pick one of them and send it down. And that's it. That's all it does. It chooses which one of these paths to go down. Now, if the user is asking to escalate the ticket, what we're going to do is, because I'm working in Gmail and I want to be able to see at a glance whether my support tickets have been answered, I want to see that there's a tag here. All right. If there's no tag here, I know my bot didn't run. All right. But if there's a tag, then I know my bot ran. What we do is we set up a tag, and you'll want to set this up in your own account as well. And it's a label. It could be called a tag. Gmail calls it labels. You can have it set to answered or in process or something like that. That way you know at a glance what the bot has handled, what's been done, what's moving on, that sort of thing. So I just have a simple label here, labeled at CS. It's going to find the email ID, and it's going to add that label as our operation. It's then, under escalate again, it's going to send another email. In this case, it's going to send an email to, fill in the blank. You want to fill in the support, here, I think I can just paste customer support email into there. It's going to send a subject as customer support inquiry escalation request. And, hello manager, we received this request to escalate a ticket. And it's going to give it who it's from, the subject of the email, as well as the full message. That way, the human who gets it is able to see, hey, here's the entire message. We're not forwarding it on. It's not going to look all weird. It's going to very clearly say what kind of message this is. because maybe you don't have an entire customer support team. Maybe you're a solopreneur, you got a small business, you want to be able to see in your emails at a glance what kind of issue this is. And if you hook this up to my email triage agent, then it'll be very easy to be able to identify that this is a customer support ticket for your own email needs. It'll be able to tag it for you, and then you'll be able to handle it real well. All right, and that email or that workflow, I'll put in a link in the description below to that video as well, so you can see how that one works. All right, so escalation requests, we escalate it, right? If you want a different process, like I said, this is fully customizable. All right, if the customer sends feedback or a testimonial or a review of the product, something that's not an issue, it's not something that needs to be handled, it's not something that you need to continue to work on, right? What we do is we have the same tagging Gmail node here. So just resource message, operation add a label. We're going to respond to the email right there, and it's going to add that label. All right, so we know that the bot handled it. It's then going to run it through the sentiment analysis agent here, and we're just giving it the text of the email. Now, a sentiment analysis agent in N8N only does one of three things. It's going to output the word positive, neutral, or negative, and that's it. That's all a sentiment analysis bot does. And so it's going to determine whether this feedback, this testimonial, this review, whatever it is positive, neutral, or negative. If it's negative, well, that seems like something that should be handled by a human, because you never want your AI agents to just ignore somebody's negative feedback. In fact, it needs to be handled, and we don't want a generic response. It may be that something was broken, something didn't work right. So what we do is we just send an email to a human. I'm going to put customer support email in here. So it's customer service inquiry, negative feedback. That way the human knows at a glance what kind of ticket this is so that they can handle it. We have a message here. We've received a negative response through our customer service emails. Please look into this. And then we give it the from, the subject, and the message. All right. If it's neutral, my thinking was this, because I'm a business owner, I've handled plenty of customer support tickets myself. Sometimes neutral feedback, where it's just kind of meh, they're not happy, they're not upset, it's just like, oh, it was all right. That kind of feedback very, very potentially has a question hidden in it. And because there might be a question hidden in it, I thought, maybe the bot should try to find a way to answer it, possibly. So what we did was we attached a Supabase vector store here. That's attached to my entire RAG database of customer support issues and company policies and all that. And what the agent is going to do is it's going to get our email message, and it's going to run it through this system prompt here, which is looking at the email, and it's going to try to identify if there are any underlying questions or concerns that the user might have had that's not necessarily being addressed in a question form. And what it's going to do is it's going to read that email. It's going to search the database to see if it can find an answer, a possible answer, and it's going to draft a positive, helpful, and professional email in reply in HTML format. All right. Even if the feedback does not request action, even if the person does not say that they want any response back, it's best to respond anyway. It makes the numbers look good. All right. And then we're not going to escalate the issue. It's always just going to provide that answer, and it's going to acknowledge the feedback, address any concerns or questions, and offer to help further if necessary. We give it this chain of thought process here on how to do all that, how to handle edge cases. We give it its output format. It's going to make a JSON object with two fields. One's called subject, and the other is message. Now the subject, it's not necessarily being used. Maybe you have a different process. I wanted to be able to have that subject in there just in case your process includes an additional subject line. But otherwise, we're going to have the message. It's going to be written in HTML. And we give it some examples. We give it some constraints of what not to do. It has to do HTML only, never fabricating answers, never escalating, never copying the customer's message verbatim back to them. Never do that, right? It doesn't look good. And then making sure that it's checking for any hidden or implied questions and answering friendly and professional and informative language. And we give those examples, like I said, and some final notes on how to be a good, proper bot. All right, so then what's going to do, it's going to email that user in replying to the email message, just again, and we're going to give it an email type of HTML. And so that way the email looks nice, and the message itself is from the AI agent using the output of that agent. All right, if we get positive response, what this agent's going to do, it's going to get that email again. It's going to get the current message. Oh, that's interesting. Let's go ahead and grab our text here. That's kind of weird that I have that there. we're going to do this here. All right, so we get the email from the message. And what this bot's going to do is it's going to respond in a very nice way because, hey, we just got some great feedback. But it's really determining, let me see here. It's determining if the message is exceptionally positive, detailed, or would be valuable as a public testimonial. If it is, then the bot is going to ask and politely invite the user to share their experience via a satisfaction form. Maybe you can just say, hey, can we use this on our website? Or if you have a specific form that you need them to fill out in order to be able to capture that testimonial, you just put the link right in here. That way, the bot's checking, if it's nice, oh, hey, thanks so much, I really appreciate it. That's not really, public testimonial worthy, right? But if they go, hey, this was the greatest experience I ever had. I really want to make sure that I thank your customer service team, thank the technical team, thank everybody. This is the greatest company I've ever worked with. That's worthy of being put on a website somewhere. That's worthy of being touted in your advertising. So what we do is we ask them to, hey, can you please give us that testimonial in a more formal way? Or can you at least give us permission to use that testimonial? And if you can get that consent, bammo, you're now able to use that testimonial, no problems. So what we do is we give it the process. It's going to read the email. It's going to evaluate how nice this is. If it's only polite, neutral, or mildly positive, just thank them. So thank you so much for your feedback. Do not request a testimonial if the message is critical, neutral, lacks praise, because just in case those emails got this way. It's going to build that email. If it's going to invite them to fill out the customer service satisfaction survey or invite them, all you got to do is adjust this section right here. It's going to handle those edge cases with positivity, and then it's going to write a valid HTML output. That way we can put it into the email and send it to the user. So here we have some output format examples, give it some constraints, no markdown, no plain text, only HTML. It's never requesting a testimonial unless the feedback is genuinely positive and suitable. Never reference or restate prior issues or problems. Never include commentary or meta-analysis or chain summaries. Always be warm and grateful and professional. And here are some examples of the inputs and outputs. All right, our final notes, always tailor your response to the level of positivity in the feedback. Never request a testimonial if the sentiment is mixed, neutral, or unclear. And always output a single HTML formatted email. That's it. All right. Got to make sure we remind these bots over and over and over again. Otherwise, they'll do their own thing. So then we send that email in reply to the message. So reply to the email. HTML is our format, and our JSON.output is our message, and that's just the bot's response from before. All right. And so that's if we get testimonials or feedback or reviews or something like that. If the issue or if the question that the user is sending into the support line is something related to like a review of their order or a change of their order or a refund or something like that, I didn't want to necessarily build that out in the bot. And that's because each different service is a little bit different. I didn't want to build it just for Shopify or just for WooCommerce or just for maybe you have a different service. Like I use ClickFunnels, so I'd have to build it and integrate it into ClickFunnels somehow, and possibly Stripe. That's the payment processor I use. And so what I did is that seems like something that would legitimately be better handled by a human. And so in this third process here, what we do is we tag the email. We're going to tag it as a customer service or CS here, just so that we know that it has been handled by the bot. We're going to send a nice email to the user. So it's just operation reply to the email that got sent. Our email type is HTML, and we're just going to send a message. Just hey, it says received. Please give us 24 to 48 hours to review this and see how we can assist you sincerely. Then put your name or the customer service team or whatever you want, just so that the user gets a response right away that we got your message. Give us a minute and we'll handle it. What we then do is we send an email to the customer support team. So what this does is it's operation send. It's going to send it to the customer support email, and just, subject line is customer service inquiry, orders and returns. That way, at a glance what this is. And we send a message saying we received a customer service request to take action on this order. Please take a look into it. So then we give the message, from a subject line and the message itself. That way, it's all right there, fully packaged in your email account. All right. And then our last branch is for questions. Now, I probably could have built this a little bit more simply. They're essentially all three of these branches here, 1, 2, and 3, are essentially identical processes. But my thinking was this. Not all customer support questions are equal, right? Sometimes it's a technical question about how does my product work, or how does this thing, how do I wash the clothes if you're like selling e-commerce stuff, or how does the machine actually operate, or how do I get the software to work? Those are technical questions. And if it's a technical question, you want the agent to respond in a more technical manner versus something that might be pre-sale, before the customer has actually become a customer, where they might want to know what kind of colors does the shirt come in, or how often does the software update, or those kinds of questions, where the bot can gently answer the question and then try to move them along in the sales process. Or maybe they just have a question about company policy. Hey, what's your return policy? Or how long do I have after I make the order to activate the system, or something like that. Those aren't necessarily technical questions. They might be policy questions. Or, hey, what is the email address for your marketing department? Company related questions. And so I figured if there's different kinds of questions, the bot should respond slightly differently based on the type of question that it's getting. So what I did is I put another text classifier node in here. We give it the email subject and the email body. And then I just break it up between technical questions, getting ready to purchase questions, and company and policy issues. All right, so then we then have a system prompt that simply looks into each of those things. It says, here's the 3 categories that we have. If you're not sure, default to customer support and questions. All right, the top level questions, which should be technical. I think I changed the name. I'll go in and fix this for you guys before we send this out. And so what it's going to do is, if it's a technical question, really quickly, I guess I'll explain how it all works in theory, and then kind of just dive into one path. That way you can see it. So it's going to send it to the agent. The agent, all 3 of them have access to the Supabase database that has all of our answers to all of our customer service questions. So you want a database of all of the different questions and answers you've handled, all of your company policies, information about the different types of products that you have, contact information, everything that you might consider that a customer support email bot or employee would need to know in order to be able to answer their question. Put that all into a vector store database, and these bots will then pull that information based on the question that the user has, answer the question if they can, and respond. If they're not able to answer the question, or if it seems like this really does need to be escalated, it's not necessarily something that the bot can handle, then it will, we use this structured output parser for each of them in order to label this as an escalate issue. The if node is going to say, okay, it's escalate. It'll go up in the top path, and then it'll send an email to the human, and then send an apology email to the customer saying, hey, me, the bot, I'm not able to answer your question, but I've escalated the ticket. Someone will be with you shortly. And then all of the branches will then tag the email with that customer support, the CS tag. Again, you can change that how you want. All right, so let's go into one of the branches, and then I'll kind of show you the system prompt for each of them. Maybe I'll show you the system prompts for each of them and then go into the branches. But here we are, technical questions. Technical questions, all we're doing is giving it the email. And then we come in here to the system prompt, and it's a technical customer service question answering AI assistant. Its core function is to receive the emails containing technical, how-to, and product usage questions, search for precise answers, and draft clear, helpful, and encouraging replies. All right, it does not necessarily perform account actions or direct troubleshooting. It only provides the accurate instructions from your database. All right, this bot is not capable of giving them that like minute granular assistance that some clients will need. All right, that needs to be escalated up. This bot is to be able to handle the routine, normal, you get these 100 times a day kinds of questions, so that your bot is able to, or your company is able to churn through your customer service tickets much faster. All right. It must attempt to answer any question sent, even if it is outside of its typical domain. And I have that answer in there because the bot would sometimes go, well, this isn't a technical question, so I don't answer it. Well, no, you should still try to answer it, even if it's somehow routed here and it shouldn't have. If it cannot answer the question, like it just does not have the information, it should escalate and apologize as instructed. All right, so we give it some context. It's going to get the email. It's going to be able to have the database of information that in the Supabase database. It's going to draft an email, HTML formatted, and then it's going to encourage the user to clarify if they have any other questions or if their issue was not fully addressed. So, hey, this is our policy, or this is the information we have. If you have any further questions, please let us know, right? Just good practice. It's going to escalate questions only if the question cannot be answered with the available information, or if human review is clearly needed for this case. And it does not perform refunds. It doesn't perform account changes, direct troubleshooting. If you want to build that in, you should be able to, depending on the providers that you have, you should be able to figure out the API call to be able to do that. Whether or not you want an AI to do that, that's up to you. But this bot is not built to do that. All right, so it never is going to refuse to answer a question for being out of scope. So it's not a technical or product domain question. But if it cannot answer it, then it will escalate it. We give it this chain of thought set of instructions here on how to answer the questions. All right, so it just goes through it, breaks down the question, it builds a concise answer, if there's edge cases on how to escalate, that sort of thing. And we give it this output format. It's going to have a search query, a customer reply, and an escalate value. So if it doesn't need to escalate it, it'll set to false. If it does need to escalate it, it'll set to true. It will always output a customer reply, whether that's in response to the question or the apology email. And the search query is for your back-end knowledge so that you can see what the AI agent is actually searching the database for. So if you need to update the system prompt to be able to tighten that up, you can. All right. And then we give it some constraints on what not to do. No JSON or Markdown. It needs to be HTML. Never perform the actual refunds because it can't. It needs to output a JSON. No referencing internal tools or systems. Don't pretend or don't let anybody know that it's actually a bot. Never repeat the customer's email directly back to them. And it should always try to answer the question. And it should search its database anytime it runs. It should always flag escalate as true if it has to, if it can't answer the question, or if a human is clearly needed. And it should always answer in an upbeat, professional way. We then give it some other more examples of the outputs, so inputs and outputs, and then final notes. So always address the questions, invite clarification or follow-up if the issue is not necessarily fully clear. So it'll try to answer it and go, hey, if this doesn't quite answer your question, please let me know. If the customer is expressing frustration, acknowledge it empathetically. All right, no just here's the answer. They should act like a real person. If the knowledge base is unavailable, just escalate by default, and do not include any extra commentary or meta information. Don't don't act like you're a bot, right? Be a person. And then, like I said, what we do is it then runs through this if node. If escalate is set to true, then it will send an email to the customer support human, whoever that is. I'll come and put that in here. All right. Customer service inquiry, technical questions. We've reserved a customer service request with technical questions. Please look into this. And we give it the from, the subject, and the email message. That way, the human can go back and reply to them directly. All right. The bot will then send an apology email as a reply. And so it'll put the output of the customer reply that it generated. And in this case, it'll be I'm so sorry. We don't have the information, and I don't have the answer to that question for you. I've gone ahead and escalated the ticket. And then it'll tag it as a customer service ticket. If it is not supposed to be escalated, it will then be sent down this response path here. And it's just a reply to the email that the customer sent using the output of the customer reply that the AI agent generated. And then it also tags it with the label of CS. Right? Again, you can change that. If you don't want it to be CS, if you want it to be something else, you can change that. All right, the rest of the processes are exactly the same, just the system prompt is different for these two AI agents. So I'll very quickly run through them. It's not all that much difference. It's really just the personality. It's kind of this first part up here is different. This one is a pre-sales customer information AI assistant. Its job is to receive emails from potential customers and consumers and accurately answer their questions about products or services and provide helpful, persuasive information that encourages informed purchasing decisions. All right, its focus is on product benefits, features, availability, and use cases, not necessarily technical troubleshooting or post-sale support, because that should have gone down a different path. All right, but it should try to answer any question anyway, even though it might have accidentally somehow got a technical question or a policy question, it will still attempt to go through the database and answer it, because nothing's worse than getting an email back going, we're not able to answer your question, we'll let somebody else know. Like, oh, well, that sucks, right? No, instead, it'll answer just fine. All right, so then we give it the same kind of context, the user-specific email, the database it has access to. It's supposed to proactively highlight the value, unique features, and suitability of the product or service based on the customer's expressed interests, and encourage the user to follow up with any other questions it has. It's going to escalate just the same. It's not going to refuse to answer a question. We give it the same step-by-step process on how to develop this answer. All right, I'm just going to roll through that real quick. We show it the output format that it's going to do. So again, the search query, customer reply, and escalate items. All right, we give it some constraints on what not to do. All right, never repeat the message verbatim. Don't do anything other than HTML, that sort of thing. We give it some examples of how it's supposed to respond. So inputs and outputs. All right, all in HTML. And then some final notes. Always focus replies on features, benefits, and the value proposition of products or services when relevant. Encourage the customer to reply with additional questions or details to help guide their decision. And if the customer expresses hesitation or concern, acknowledge empathetically and reinforce helpful information. All right, no extra information to make it seem like you're a bot, that sort of thing. And then our final AI agent down here. All right, this one has a system prompt. That is a company policy and process information AI assistant. Its function is to receive emails containing questions about the company's policies, procedures, and process-related topics, such as returns, warranties, privacy, shipping, guarantees, delivery times, processing times, setup durations, and terms, and provide accurate information to that, all right? It's supposed to be neutral in sales tone and support all types of users equally, regardless of their stage in the buying process, because we just don't know where they're necessarily at. Now, you could hook this up to your CRM, all right? You might be able to, you can hook it up to your CRM, have that information pulled so you will know whether or not this is actually a customer. But sometimes they send emails that wasn't the email they made the purchase from. So I figured let's make it neutral, not necessarily trying to push them toward a sale, not necessarily treating them like a current customer. Let's just answer their questions with this one. All right, same process. It's going to get the email. It has access to the database. It's going to draft an HTML formatted email. If the question suggests a possible action, such as a return, claim, complaint, rights request, or service request, ask if the user would like their inquiry escalated to a human specialist. If they then ask to have it escalated, it will then escalate it in the next loop through, which I'll talk about in just a second. All right, it needs to try to answer every question, even if it's outside of its domain. We give it the same process on how to answer the questions, the same chain of thought. All right, this is all pretty much copy paste. Give it the same format, search inquiry or search query, customer reply, and escalate. We run through the constraints, what it's supposed to do, what it's not supposed to do. And then we also give it the example inputs and outputs so that it has some idea of how it should be answering these questions. All right, all like that. We give it a whole bunch of examples. And then we give it some final notes on how to be able to do this. So address every question regardless of topic. If the inquiry is actionable, always offer escalation in the reply. If knowledge base is unavailable, escalate by default. Maintain clear, factual, and unbiased tone in all responses, and so forth. Okay, and so what happens if the user replies to this email chain? Because the user has sent an email, the bot has replied. Now, if the user replies themselves, because say they had a question and didn't quite answer it, or even if they just say thank you, that really helped, or something, the bot should then respond again. You don't want to just leave the user hanging. So we have this whole other process up here, which again, this AI agent down here is simply pulling out that information for the current message and the summary of all the previous messages that have gone on between the user and the AI agent. All right. And this if node makes that determination of whether this is a reply to a thread or not. It then comes through this process up here. Now this process up here, you'll notice it only has 3 branches where this one down here had 4. The reason for it is on this branch down here, this was orders or questions about like returns and stuff like that. If they asked, hey, can I change my order? That's going to send it directly to the human. So generally speaking, customer service tickets, if they want a return, the first thing they're going to ask for is a return. or if they want to adjust their order, the first thing they're going to do is ask to adjust their order. They're not going to like have a conversation about colors of the products or how to get this thing to work necessarily, unless, I mean, if they determine in the email chain that they want to return, man, you've screwed up. But that's essentially just an escalation request. And so what I've done is I've pulled out this branch here, which was basically just a, hey, we'll let you know, and then escalate it to a human branch. And we just kind of merged it into the escalate branch. So if in the next pass through, the human says, or the customer says, you know what, let me speak to a human, that's an escalation request, just always. And so that'll go down this bottom branch here. And you'll notice the bottom branch is just slightly different. We have an AI agent here. This one did not have an AI agent here. This one does, because if we're already in the email chain, if the customer has sent an email to the bot has responded, and then the human sees that response and goes, you know what, I really need to speak to a human, or if we can speak to a manager, if I can escalate this and somehow, you don't want to just ghost them. You don't want to just leave them hanging, right? They're sitting there waiting for a response. No. Instead, what we do is we have the AI agent write a response to let them know with the context of what's been going on, right? Let them know that, hey, I've got your message and I'll go ahead and escalate the ticket for you. And so that's all it does. This one responds. Your task is to handle follow-up emails from customers who have already received assistance and are now explicitly requesting to speak with a manager or a human representative. All right. And so all it's going to do is it goes through the process of drafting the email, and it's just going to draft an HTML output. That's it. Nothing special about it, which then gets sent to the human as a reply, all right, to the email ID. So there's the same message that just got sent. Email type is HTML, and our message is the output that the AI agent just did. We then also send an email to our human. So let's do this. All right. Subject is customer service inquiry, escalation request. And we just say, hello, manager. We just received this request to escalate a ticket. Here's the original message, subject line, message from, that way they have all that information. Okay. The rest of the bot is identical to the bot down here, except for, you'll notice that we don't have all these extra like tag nodes. And that's because this is a reply to a chain that's already been going on. The human is now replying to the AI agent. This bot has already tagged it. There's no need to tag it again. So if it's a testimonial or a review, it's going to go through that second branch there. If they have a technical question or a purchase question, or it's a company policy question, it's going to go through that whole same process. I'm not going to go through it again. Nothing is different. If you change it down here, change it up here. All right. Just make sure that you keep them equal. That way the bot is able to operate the same in both situations, whether it's a new request or an old request. So as you can see, this bot is able to take customer service tickets of all various types and sizes, and it's able to process them through using your own knowledge database so that it can answer the questions so you don't have to. Now you're only going to have to focus on answering the questions that are kind of more specific, that are tailored to the individual client, and let the bot handle all of the normal routine questions that every customer service team gets. So if you found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like and share the video. It really does help. If you want to download today's workflow, click the link in the description below. I have access to my free school community down there, where you're going to be able to download today's JSON workflow, as well as a ton of additional tutorials and other workflows ranging from social media posting bots to executive assistants, lead scrapers, and so much more that businesses can use in order to be able to dive into this automation world and really turn up what you're doing with automation in your business. As always, I'm Bradford Carlton. Let's automate your success together.